Know you've been a good friend.
Sam was a man whose joy was contagious. He lived in the charming town of Maplewood, where everyone knew each other by name, and Sam was loved by all. Known for his infectious laughter and kind heart, Sam had a way of brightening up even the gloomiest days. From a young age, Sam learned to find joy in the simplest things. His parents taught him to appreciate God's blessings in everyday life, no matter how small. Whether it was the beauty of a sunrise, the taste of freshly baked bread, or the sound of children playing, Sam saw God's hand in everything. One morning, as Sam walked to the local hardware store where he worked, he greeted every passerby with a smile and a cheerful "Good morning." He often hummed his favorite hymn, "This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it." Psalm 118:24. This verse was Sam's motto, and he lived it out each day. At the hardware store, Sam was more than just an employee. He was a friend to everyone who walked through the door. He knew every customer by name and took the time to chat with them, sharing a word of encouragement or a funny story. His lighthearted nature made the store a warm and welcoming place. One day, Mrs. Jenkins, the church's famous baker, walked into the store looking for some supplies. She seemed a bit flustered, so Sam offered her a warm smile. "Good morning, Mrs. Jenkins. What brings you in today?" "Oh, Sam," Mrs. Jenkins sighed. "I'm trying to bake a new recipe for the church potluck, but I've run out of flour and sugar. I'm not sure it's going to turn out right." Sam chuckled and said, "Don't worry, Mrs. Jenkins. You know what Philippians 4:13 says, 'I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.' I'm sure your cookies will be just as delightful as ever." Mrs. Jenkins smiled, feeling reassured by Sam's cheerful words. She left the store with a renewed sense of confidence, ready to tackle her baking challenge. Later that week, the town gathered for the church potluck, one of Sam's favorite events. The air was filled with the mouth-watering aroma of home-cooked meals and the sound of laughter and conversation. Sam, as usual, was in the center of it all, chatting with everyone and making sure that no one felt left out. As he made his rounds, he noticed Mr. Thompson, a retired schoolteacher, sitting alone on a bench outside the church. Sam walked over and sat down beside him. "Hey there, Mr. Thompson. What are you doing out here all by yourself?" Mr. Thompson smiled softly. "Oh, just enjoying the evening air, Sam. It's good to see everyone so happy. But sometimes I feel a bit out of place now that I'm retired." Sam nodded thoughtfully. "I understand, Mr. Thompson. But remember what Psalm 16:11 says, 'You will show me the path of life. In your presence is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore.' You've done so much for this community, and there's still so much joy ahead for you." Mr. Thompson's eyes brightened. "Thank you, Sam. You always know just what to say." As the evening went on, Sam led the children in a game of tag, their laughter filling the air. He helped carry plates for the elderly, shared stories with old friends, and made sure everyone had a piece of Mrs. Jenkins's delicious cookies, which, as it turned out, were a big hit. The night ended with a sing-along, and Sam's voice could be heard above the rest, full of joy and gratitude. He looked around at his friends, his family, and his beloved town, and his heart overflowed with thankfulness. "Rejoice in the Lord always. Again I will say, rejoice." Philippians 4:4. He thought to himself, feeling the truth of those words deep within his soul. Sam's life was a celebration of the goodness of God. He didn't have riches or fame, but he had something far more valuable: a heart full of joy, a spirit of kindness, and a love for God that shone brightly for all to see. And in the end, that joy, that love, and that kindness were his greatest gifts to the world.